Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little different from my other videos because today I'm just sitting here with my journal. No big intro, no aesthetic setup, and nothing like that. I just opened my journal and thought maybe I'll talk while I write and share my personal experience of coming out of the darkest phase of my life while I journal. So yeah, journaling has always been this really quiet space for me, not something I did to feel productive or healed or better, although I have my other videos where I junk journal and those were my best times and I really want to get back there, but slowly and gradually we will. So journaling, it's more like something I do when my mind won't slow down, and lately my mind hasn't been quiet at all. I don't know if you relate to this, but there's this feeling where you're doing everything you're supposed to do. You're showing up, you're functioning, you're replying, you're getting through the day, but inside it feels like something shifted and never fully came back. Not in a dramatic way, but you don't recognize yourself the same way anymore. So instead of trying to plan a video or explain something, I thought I'd just journal the way I normally do and talk through it as it is happening. Because honestly, this is how I found my way back to myself, slowly and quietly without forcing anything. And right now I'm just looking at my journal. This part matters more than people think, to be really honest, because just sitting with the journal before writing, you're trying to slowly get back to present and you're stopping your brain from spiraling on so many thoughts all at once, because when you're used to being on autopilot, slowing down can actually feel uncomfortable at first. So your brain wants distraction, it wants noise, and it wants you to scroll, check something, do something. And I usually just sit here for a minute and breathe, and sometimes I'll say it out loud, sometimes I won't, but I'll tell myself, okay, today I'm here for me. And I know it sounds like an affirmation and it doesn't work, if I'm being honest, but it's just telling your brain something, even if it doesn't obey, that yes, this is the goal, this is what I'm about to do. So even if I don't fully believe it yet, I just have to convince myself. So yeah, I just acknowledge that I showed up, and then I start writing. Not nicely, not in full sentences, of course not with the intention of rereading it later. I write about who I am right now, and that part can feel heavy. And honestly, you can apply this to your journaling method as well. If you want to get your spark back, I need you to follow what I did and all these steps, so maybe it could help you. I just write about who I am right now, and that part can feel really heavy if you do it. For me, it did. It just reminded me of all the trauma that I've been trying to avoid, because when life gets tough, when you lose someone or a version of yourself or a future you thought you'd have, you don't just lose that thing, you lose the future you had planned, you lose the hope and your time invested. So you lose clarity. And so I'll write things like, I'm more anxious than I used to be, I overthink everything, and I feel like nothing is going to work anymore because I've lost what I cherished. So I don't feel confident making decisions anymore, I feel disconnected from I used to be, and I don't censor it. This isn't about being positive, this step is about being honest, and psychologically your brain is holding too much unresolved emotional information, and that is cognitive overload. When thoughts don't have a place to land, they just keep circulating in your mind. So putting them on a paper isn't about venting, it's about unloading your mind. So I'll write about what I lost, not just people, but versions of myself, like confidence and direction, that feeling of knowing who I am. And when I'm done with that, I stop, I don't push, then I flip to another page. Well, not flip to another page in this video, but you get it. So, next step is where I write about who I was before everything changed. Not in a nostalgic way, more like factual, how I used to think, what I cared about, how I made decisions. So, the way people describe me, and sometimes it hits me how different I sound on that page, and whether would I have let everything that happened to me happen to me. So, yeah, and sometimes it hits me how far I've gone. And psychology actually explains why this works, because your brain stores identity in memory. So when I write about my OG self, I reconnect with past versions of myself through autobiographical recall. And I'm not like going backward, I'm just reminding my nervous system of who I've been, who I was, and what I was capable of being. So that's important when you feel lost. So after writing both versions, I usually sit back and read them, and this is where something shifts, because there are these two identities, there are these two different people on my journal right now, and the fun part is that it's me. Like, it's not the same person, it doesn't feel the same person, but it's just one person, and that person is me. So because now there's a contrast, you can see the difference instead of feeling it vaguely, and instead of just thinking about it in your mind in a very jumbled and overlapping way. Instead, you're just reading it, and this is where identity fusion starts to loosen, because your identity has been fused. So yeah, this process is called, in psychological terms, identity fusion. And when your sense of self gets tangled up in a person or role or a phase of life, your brain treats it like a thread. Your brain is so dependent on it. You're so emotionally dependent on that thought or that person that you feel like if this thing is gone from my life, everything will just go down the drain. So it clings and it loops, it replays. And when you separate who I am from what happened to me, your mind finally has space. And then I ask myself something very simple but uncomfortable, and that is, did my life move because of them, or did my life move because of this moment? I don't answer it quickly. I let myself write whatever comes up, because this question isn't about blame, it's about agency. It's about a medium, something I can grab onto. Feeling lost usually isn't about sadness, it's about powerlessness, and agency it is what brings your spark back. Agency is that quiet realization that I still get to choose, even if I miss them, even if I'm not healed, even if I'm scared. So I'll write another question, and I write that if I were the OG me, the past version of me, what direction would I move my life in while being like this, while being in this emotional era of my life? So it's just that, write about one direction, not 10 goals all at once, not a vision board, just direction. And then I write structure, not discipline, not pressure, structure. I plan everything out, because the brain stops looping when it feels safe. When you give it direction and you tell it to that you're going to do this, then that, not just letting it, choose whatever clutter that is spread over in your brain. So safety honestly comes from predictability. So I'll write about my days, how I want mornings to feel, what I want my evenings to look like, what kind of pace I want to live at. Tiny things, tiny details, just make it like a timetable, like we used to have back in our school. A timetable, what class was going to take at what time. So that's how I make a timetable. And this is important. I don't write about who I am right now. I write from who I remember I was, and that version of me knew how to move forward without overthinking every step. That's behavioral activation in psychology, and it's something that is before motivation. And yeah, so you don't wait to feel confident, you move like someone who respects themselves. And here's the part people get wrong: the thought, it just doesn't disappear. 3 days later, sometimes sooner, the same thing resurfaces. The memory, the person, the feeling, and instead of like panicking, I notice it. That's metacognition in psychology, by the way. So I observe that thought without becoming it. I don't fight it, I don't suppress it, because the more I fight and suppress it, the more I'm convincing my brain that this is a trauma and we need to avoid it. So I let my brain to process it and instead of making it become a trauma. So I let it pass like a background noise, because now my days already has direction and I'm thinking about that person or that feeling from my past version, how my past version would have handled it. So yeah, so the thought just doesn't pull me under. That's how the loop breaks. And it's not by force, it's by replacing it with who you used to be. And if you're listening to this thinking, okay, but what if I still feel stuck? That's normal. This isn't about becoming a new person overnight. It's about reconnecting with yourself in small, honest moments. And if you felt something while listening or while journaling along, that matters. If you felt nothing, that also matters. It just means your nervous system is still settling. So when you're done, just close the journal, take a breath, and go on with your day like you planned, knowing that you showed up for yourself, even quietly. And that really counts. And if you feel like sharing what came up for you, you can leave it in the comments. I really want this space to feel safe, not performative, just human. And yeah, so thanks for sitting with me. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.